Good morning. It's Wisdom Wednesdays. This is Ariana Newcomer, Dove Oracle Priestess. And Wisdom Wednesdays is coming to you recorded on Zoom today because Facebook Lives weren't working. So here I am, and this is coming to you later than usual. So sorry about that. Today's topic is anger. And this is something that is really tricky for us. We can really end up with a lot of problems with anger because most of us aren't really taught how to do healthy anger. The truth is that anger can be healthy and we can express it responsibly. And anger is actually really important. One of my mentors calls it a pointing emotion. It's pointing us to something that needs attention, something that needs to change. It rises up in us when something doesn't match with our integrity or doesn't feel right to us, or it can be personal, can be cultural, can be about social justice issues, can be about politics, of course. And one of the Wisdom Wednesdays I did recently was about being responsible on social media, about how we post and share, so that we are not just generating useless anger that only divides us. So that's an unhealthy anger, and there's unfortunately a lot of that in politics these days. And I do encourage us all to watch how we're using our social media so that we're not just spreading division and spreading anger in unhelpful ways. But it is an emotion that can tell us we need to act on something. We need to do something. But unfortunately, many of us have grown up being either shamed out of expressing anger, or we were talking yesterday about this in the Wise Women Immersion. One member grew up in the Catholic Church, going to Catholic school. Anger is one of the 7 deadly sins. And so you are supposed to just not be angry. Apparently, the Quran also has a lot of proscriptions against anger. And in Buddhism, anger is one of the 5 hindrances, negative mental states that interfere with enlightenment. And the Jewish Kabbalah has meditations for healing the soul of anger. Now, that sounds more positive to me. The truth is that when we talk about anger, there really are 2 different things. So there's the anger that arises, and there's what we do with it. And there's also rage, which is really a different thing. That's anger that's out of control. And we can get into that uncontrolled anger state when we are pushing our anger down, or when we have pushed our anger down for a long time, and it finally bursts out, bursts up at us. I've described this before as trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It just doesn't work. So one of the things we do in the Wise Women Immersion is learn to really dance with our anger and treat ourselves with love and respect, and heal our inner parts, do our deep inner healing work. And when we do that, it actually makes us much more capable of recognizing our anger as a positive pointing emotion. This is pointing to something that needs to change, being able to work with it and allow it to flow so that we're not just splatting it all over other people in an irresponsible way that can be damaging and hurtful, but learning to actually express it in a way that helps us move forward and helps us in our relationships with other people. And I was working with a client yesterday who works in corporate consulting, and she was very proud of herself because she had gone into a meeting where she's working currently, and she travels a lot for work. And mostly she's working with women in this project. And there was a man in this meeting who essentially tried to take over her meeting. So she was able to just very calmly reclaim the lead and lead the meeting without falling back and allowing him to take over, and without expressing herself inappropriately. So it's really an important skill for us to develop. So healthy anger requires that we have that internal compass, that we have looked inside and worked inside with ourselves and uncovered what those big triggers are. When I get really angry, what is that from? Is this from something that's still hanging me up from my childhood? And I still get triggered from things from my childhood. I also had, unfortunately, almost 20 years in emotionally abusive relationships. And I still have some trauma triggers left over from that. But to be able to recognize when we're getting triggered and have that time when there's that moment of pause so that you can respond instead of react. And sometimes the thing we need to do is to take ourselves out of the situation, go away, calm down, understand what it is that triggered that response, and then decide what it is that we need to do. As anger is usually pointing us into an action that we need to take for ourselves or for others. Sometimes it's for our kids. You know, it wasn't so hard for me to be mama bear for my children as it was to be mama bear for myself. Yeah. So it really is, healthy anger can just draw us into a conversation. And if we express anger appropriately, it can eventually lead to improvements in our relationships and greater intimacy. We can get to know each other better when we talk about what made us angry, but we do it in a way that the other person can actually hear and receive. And many people grow up with trauma from living in families where there was a tremendous amount of anger expressed, unhealthy anger expressed as humiliating you, shaming you, demeaning you, all those kinds of things that unfortunately happen when people are unconscious. And when anger spills over into rage, that's another place where people have never been taught how to manage this emotion. Or often for men, they may have been taught that that's appropriate for them to do. And I have a friend who's now working with prisoners who are being released and helping them reintegrate back into life after prison. And that is often one of the things that those people need to learn, is that just explosive rage. How do they change the way that they respond to their own anger, so they come into more of an understanding of themselves? And at the root of it all is this need to have love and respect for ourselves. And when someone responds, sometimes some of the responses to anger, especially female anger, can be designed to stop us from expressing it, and it kind of manipulative, shaming a woman for expressing anger because women are supposed to be nice above all, but it's okay for a man to express anger, and that's even expected. So let's be conscious. Let's just be more conscious, be aware, and give ourselves that inner compassion, that love of ourselves, and treat our angry selves with love and compassion. That's the way we work with it in the Wise Women Immersion, to be able to just come home, come inside with love and compassion, and then we have that ability to respond instead of react. And we have that ability to express our anger in healthy ways that help us move forward, improve our relationships, and may even help others move forward. So if you'd like to talk with me about the Wise Women Immersion, I'm just beginning to enroll a new group that will start in May. I would love to talk with you, and I will put a link in the comments here. And some of these things that I've talked about today came from an article that I read in The Optimist, which is my dose of daily positive news. And I'll put a link to this article too as well. And I encourage you, if you want to have some positive news, subscribe to The Optimist. It's a great publication comes out of the Netherlands. But yes, you get it in English. And there are there's a lot of positive news that they're putting out for us every day so that we don't get this skew of the negative news all the time, which could push us into unhealthy anger, right? So it's another way to take care of ourselves. Subscribe to The Optimists. I'll see you next time.